Good morning, everybody. TG here. Let's see, it is February 3rd, so we're into February. And the market continues to just look not great out there, which we're prepared for. So we'll see if it continues to go that way. Let's see, I'm live in the Moxie room. Hopefully everything is working there. And then out there on the social medias, we got YouTube, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you guys are looking for more information, obviously you can see it here, simplytrading.com/Moxie. And let's kind of dive into it. So what I've been looking at, let me kind of clean this up a little bit. A couple things, and I think right here. So what we can see, and this is what we've been talking about in my weekly videos and in the Moxie room, that the SPX, and this is for the social media folks out there, maybe getting caught up a little bit, but you can see here that the SPX has been basically running into the 618 Fibonacci extension ever since the tariff tantrum lows. And not only that, but also 7,000. And it just seems to be a real roadblock for it. So we're just kind of being aware that that is happening up there. So far, nothing's really changed as far as the SPX, which has been really challenging since there's just almost nothing to do with this thing. There's nothing, it's not telling us much information. But underneath the surface, there is quite a bit happening and quite a bit moving. I will continue to point out that the Moxie indicator has been below zero for now more than 3 months, which is almost like a record for something I've seen. And then I'll also start to point out, most likely, that we're starting to actually lose momentum. So instead of it mostly just kind of being sideways like this, I think we're starting to see this actually get lower and lower and lower, which is another concern that I have from there. And then also as time kind of goes on, I'm starting to be able to notice that price was going up, but notice how each peak of the Moxie indicator on the hourly chart has been lower. So I think that is another concern that I have with the market to the upside. Yeah, so that's just another thing I can point out using the Moxie indicator. We had a bounce yesterday, which was a little surprising, but also not, because this market's just been choppy. So it's like, just expect anything day to day. The other crazy thing was that if we actually look at the SPY from the weekend, and we look here with the overnight, we actually had quite a big drop over the weekend, only to then bounce right back. So yeah, welcome to the choppy market that we have as far as the indices go. Now, I'm looking at today. Today does seem to be pretty weak. That's why yesterday's bounce, I really didn't change any of my narrative and anything else I've been doing. We are long, basically, the VIX volatility, because I don't see how this market is going to fix itself without getting probably a pullback first. So I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah, we got a squeeze, and looks like the SPY, let's see, the SPY versus the SPX. Yeah, interesting. The SPY actually has a high compression squeeze, which is notorious for actually firing counter trend. So that will be interesting to see if that kind of does something. Sam talks about that a lot, that the high compression tends to go down. Anyway, I just think at some point, I really feel like this market's got to break down at some point, because I just don't know what else this thing can do up in this area, and we continue just seeing degradation. And if this market can't go up, then what's going to happen? You keep trying to go up and up and up and up, and it just doesn't work. Like, then what? I mean, the bulls run out of energy, and then we take a little bit of a plunk down. I'm kind of leaning toward that. So, and if we look at the VIX and the UVIX, this daily chart really looks like it's building. That looks like it's kind of ready to get going to the upside, which is why we're trading this alongside. So I think something like that is building. We've got our daily Moxie price trigger. Again, we got squeeze, and really this kind of looks like a bull flag right in through there. So yeah, I think something's going to be happening with that. Little dips and stuff in through here, but generally it's holding. And yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards the side of, I'm not sure that this is going to break lower without us having some sort of pop first. Yeah, we'll see if it kind of gives up the ghost, huh? Brighter side. Yeah. Okay, and then if we look at the IWM, we know this thing has been pulling back, been aware of that one for quite some time. Had a little bit of a bounce, but my concern now is that this bounce is up into the underside of a downtrending moving average with the Moxie indicator below zero. So this could just be biding its time until it goes a little bit lower. It's definitely not in an uptrend. It's the best case scenario is it's in a pullback. But I see this just needing to be patient until we've kind of figure out the next something. I think it can continue to come down a little bit. And then for those of you in the Moxie room, I was talking about the SMH a lot yesterday. This is the semiconductors, and even last week. I said I think we're starting to really run into some extensions up here, resistance. Just like I don't see this going up much higher for right now. You can see we've got some negative divergence here on the hourly Moxie indicator compared to price. And then, as I said, yesterday's bounce, I think the bounce was up into resistance. And I did post about this yesterday. You can see price was up over a downtrending 15-minute 50 with the Moxie indicator below zero. And I said, I think that's the beginning of this. And then I pointed out the Moxie indicator here was almost crossing below zero. And now we've got that today. And you can see now we really are below the hourly 50, whereas all these moves pretty much held the hourly 50. So things are changing. We can see that the stuff that was either strong or kind of holding in trend or kind of the last to stay up are now starting to at least pull back. And we'll have to see what kind of momentum this might actually get, and if we're gonna start kind of coming down in a big way or a small way. But you can see that I think the uptrend for something like SMH has now broken. I do not see this as an uptrend anymore, or at least a near term. I think we should be prepared for a pullback. We'll have to see where it goes. It could be choppy, sure. I would not be surprised to see this thing come down to the daily 50, because there's pretty big gap here. The challenging part, though, is what if it just goes sideways? We've seen that before, too. I think something's going to come down and all it does is go sideways. So that can be a little frustrating at times. And then let's look at FNGU. This is the leverage ETF of the FANG stocks. And yesterday I was like, well, interesting. Here looks like a double bottom and, price trying to come up again like this. And I said, if this was going to hold, we have a potential trampoline move. And then I wanted to see if this was going to come up. Now, because of the FANG stocks, we still have Amazon and Google that are going to report this week. And so I didn't want to put too much emphasis on this because those earning reports could do anything as far as this ETF. And so I was just kind of being cautious with this. But then look what happened today. This is very interesting. Look at this thing. We opened with a move up like that and just immediately got rejected all morning long. And now you can see here we've got our Moxie price structure to the downside. We'll see if that sticks. We have not been able to stay over the 15-minute 50. The Moxie indicator not looking great either. And so I'm kind of wondering if this is actually a resting place until price actually breaks lower and we actually break this low. So that is something that we really need to be paying attention to because, we know the FANG stocks have not been doing well for a while. You can see that generally here. And looks like they are, I don't know, at least right now, it looks like they're going to continue to not do very well. And I think we should be aware that they could continue to break down. Now, Emil, if you're out there, FNGD and brighter side, sounds like you didn't even know about FNGD. Just be aware, anytime they have a bullish leverage ETF, they're probably going to have a bearish leverage ETF. There's almost always a positive and a negative to them. And yeah, you can see for the most part, it's been in an uptrend. So again, not great for the market. Not great for the market. Let's see, we got that. And I'm trying to make sure we address all the kind of negativity first. Let me see. Well, we already talked about the SMH MAGs. Here we go. That was the other one. MAGs is a little bit different than FNGU, has fewer stocks and really just has the MAG 7. And yesterday I posted in the Moxie room and I said, first of all, what are we really supposed to glean from this? There's really not much to work with. The only bullish thing I've been able to say recently is that we bounced at this double bottom. After that, though, I said the next thing we need to be looking at is right here at that hourly 50. And I said, good luck trying to figure out what that really wants to do, especially with some of these earnings coming up. But I said I'd be concerned that this is going to fall through the hourly 50, which it did. And this is not looking very strong. You can even see here, look at the 15. So, those of you out there in the social medias, I assume you don't have the Moxie indicator. Well, every time I'm on the mic and I talk about this stuff, this is really what I'm trying to show you guys, the power of the Moxie indicator and how it shows you what's going on. So in this case, even though this maybe looked like a bull flag or looked like price was trying to hold these moving averages on these time frames, and maybe you'd be look at this and say, oh, I think this is going to bounce off the hourly 50. Well, look at the 15-minute Moxie indicator. You see how it's below zero? That's telling you that's not very strong on that time frame. And that was part of the reason why I was saying I'm not sure I see much strength in through here. So that's kind of what's going on with mags. Let's see the other area. If we look at IGV, I saw a lot of people talking about this today. Well, for good reason. The software stocks are just falling apart. I don't really know why and what the reason is behind all this, but they are just absolutely falling apart, and they've been doing it for a while. If you look at this was really just a bear flag into the underside of a downtrending daily 50. And since then, it's just been accelerating. AI. Oh, because what AI is going to be able to write all of our software. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, these things have just totally been falling apart, and you can see a continuation right there as price ran into the underside of the 15-minute 50. You can even see right there, same thing, just ran right into the underside of the 15-minute 50, and just dying, just absolutely dying. Okay, so we got that. We know Microsoft. Yeah, Microsoft is not doing well. There are a lot of Epstein jokes that have been going around. So just going to throw that out there. But yeah, Microsoft has not been doing well. Oracle, we know they have not been doing well. Avgo, not been doing well. Let's see, who was in the Moxie room? Was it yesterday? I guess it was yesterday. Yesterday was Monday, so it had to be yesterday. Yeah, Pete. So, yeah, hopefully our conversation worked out well for you to where I said, hey, be a little bit concerned about this. And yeah, good. I'm glad that worked out for you. You can see in through here, basically price continued to get rejected by the daily 21. And you can even see here, basically rejected by the hourly 200. So if you really wanted to wrap you could say a 50, 250 maneuver. And remember, a 50, 250 can be both bullish or bearish. Yeah, if you're bearish, then basically you're short at the 200. And if you're bullish, you need to wait for this thing to turn back up. And it just never gave any signal. And in fact, today you're breaking down here. But yeah, basically you can see here on the daily chart, it was just always in a downtrend through here. So that's why I wanted to make sure that you weren't getting misled by the lower time frames when really it's the higher time frame that is the more important thing that you should be paying attention to. So thanks, Emil. Have a good day. So yeah, that's Avgo. Just more troubles out there. I'm just really seeing stuff. Oh yeah, dog. Okay, so let's get to some of the good stuff. Nail, XHB. Yeah, I don't know what the news is. I'll have to do some looking around unless you guys have heard what's up. But I'm happy about this. We have a position in XHB. I've also been talking about Nail a lot. I said we should be expecting this pullback. It was a little bit deeper than I wanted it to. Certainly from this spot up here, I said we should expect a pullback. I was kind of hoping it was going to be around here, but it went all the way down here. So be it. And then it popped up. And if you look, the Moxie indicator on the 15 was looking great. And price, there you go, apparently actually held the 15-minute 50. I mean, there you go. That's just your proof is in the pudding, isn't it? Look right there. It tested the 15-minute 50 this morning and then just exploded. So that's cool. Happy about that. And if you want, let's see if this thing kind of settles down a little bit today, and then maybe you can add to it. It's kind of my thought. Of course, nothing's guaranteed. If this market really falls apart, they might sell everything. But it's great to see that on a day when the market's actually coming down, Nail goes up. So I'm happy with that, because generally, I think that the home builders ETF and segment should go up. That's what I've been looking for. And this so far is proving it. I like this pullback into an uptrending daily 50. And then now we're just looking for follow through. Dog, we are playing options. We have a call debit spread in March. I forget the particular strikes. I could look it up, but if you go up into the trade alerts thing inside the Moxie room. There's a magnifying glass. Click that and probably just search trade alert XHB, and that should come up. I think we were probably, gosh, let me see what this is. Let me look at it real quick. Come on, Thinkorswim. Yeah, it's still up a little, but we're actually up 32%. Looks like it on the XHB trade, but that's still pretty reasonable. So I think if you wanted to get in, I think it's still looking just fine. So I certainly think that there's an opportunity for you there. So, okay, we got that. And yeah, I'm happy with Nail. If we look at XHB in this area, you can see XHB pulled back perfectly to the daily 50. So, whether it's news or if that's actually just a technical pullback and just bounced right off of that, I mean, it's doing what I wanted to do. So I'm happy about that. We've just been patiently waiting, ever since this jump up like this. I said, well, we should expect a pullback. I was kind of thinking it was going to come to the 21, but it came down to the 50. Okay, again, so be it. And so that's where it wants to go. And now we just need to actually make sure that this thing has follow through to the upside. That's what we're going to be waiting for. Oh, Michael, let's see. Major builders said to weigh a plan for 1 million Trump homes. Man, he's putting his name on everything, isn't he? Well, we got the Trump kid investment bank accounts. Yeah, gosh, talk about branding. All right, let's see. As of February 2026, home builders are proposing a Trump Homes initiative to build up to 1 million affordable entry-level single-family homes, potentially using private capital and rent-to-own structure. The plan aims to increase supply and facilitate homeownership through a 3-year rent-to-own model supported by firms like Lennar and Taylor Morrison. Awesome. Politics aside, this is what I wanted to be seen because I'm in the trade. So Lennar, and it's LEN. You would have thought Lennar would probably be doing more, especially since their name got mentioned. And then what's Taylor Morrison? I don't know their ticker. I know Toll Brothers. Yeah, pop a little, kind of quiet down. And then Pulte Homes, P is a PH. What is Pulte Homes? PH. I forget. I don't have all these tickers memorized. Anyway, I think we get it. XHB, Nail, that kind of stuff. Yeah. All right. So yeah, dog, I'm playing XHB with options. You can also play Nail if you want to. You just got to be a little bit more careful with Nail because of the leveraged ETF slippage. But so far, it's looking pretty good. And I think this has a long road on the upside. So, Michael, thank you. Thank you for that information. I love it when you guys are able to answer questions for me. It's like, hey, the charts are looking great. What's the reason? All right, then let's see what else we're looking at here. Luis, Power, PWR. Yeah, generally looking pretty good. Yeah, I bought some today. Sure. Yeah, I'd probably support that. Looking fine. It looks kind of similar to our GEV. Yeah, that one's been doing really well. One of the few things out there that seems to be doing well. Energy, oil, those things do well. But then here was the thing I wanted to mention to you guys. It's been interesting to see as far as some of the power generation stocks for AI or crypto or whatever. You look at Wolf, they had earnings up on earnings. Now it still seems kind of contained, and so it could be challenging. But generally it's up. And then I looked around and I wanted to say, okay, well, is anything else benefiting from, say, the Wolf earnings? Kind of a sympathy move. So I looked at GLXY because that's kind of another power generation one, and it had earnings, and whoa, it went down. I'm like, okay. I was on the Corleone Report yesterday. It's kind of a radio show that they interview me every 3 weeks or so. And I said, because they were asking about these crypto miners and stuff. And I said, you need to put them all in a different category because they're all very different. They do not trade in a group. They all behave differently. They all have different capex or megawatt size or debt or whatever. They're all so different. And that makes it a little bit challenging because they certainly don't trade like a group. You got Wolf doing okay, Galaxy not doing okay. You got Hut kind of hanging in there. Then you got Riot, kind of down but neutral. Then you got Mara, not doing great. And then you have Hive, also not doing great. I mean, it's just crazy. Oh, and then Irene. You got these things all over the place. So yeah, there's just kind of no consistency as for the crypto AI power generation miners group and all of that. It's been kind of crazy. So that's why when it comes to this market, I've gone very, very defensive and have only a couple stocks basically that are working out like that. The other thing I saw, let's see, Palantir had earnings, popped up a little bit, but what are you gonna do? Is that earnings gonna really change the tune or the direction of this thing right now? Probably not. That might have actually been a great shorting opportunity if you guys were day traders or quick or something like that. But be careful. Be careful on something like this. That does not look like strength up there. And then you look at that, and I was noticing that Robinhood, for some reason, started to come down too. Apparently, the idea of them um, sharing in the management of those Trump accounts wasn't enough to turn this thing around either. So it continues to come down. I just continue to see not great stuff out there. Of course, there are areas, nail XHP, but for the most part, not looking so great out there. Yeah, PayPal. I saw they had earnings too. Just smacked. I don't know what the deal is with it. It's been not in a good trade trend for quite some time. This just been just continues to go down. So yeah, PayPal not doing great, and Adobe. Yeah, Adobe, kind of part of the whole software situation. It has been a dumpster fire for a while. Also, I mean, just look at that thing, a long time. Now, Adobe reminds me of Figma. This was a big deal when this thing came out with its IPO, and it again just crash and burn. And you can see here, I think the last time we spoke about it was right there. And I said, I'm not sure that this is bullish, especially if it's going to break that, and then it broke it, and down it goes. And you can see right there, there's your Moxie price trigger to the downside. So yeah, man, these things are pretty rough out there. Okay, so hopefully you guys are seeing this. I don't really know why the market's doing all what it's doing, but there's certainly something going on underneath the surface that we all need to be aware of. And for me, last Thursday was the big one that really kind of told me what's going on. Yeah, Figma is supposed to be the Adobe killer. Turns out AI will kill them both. Yeah, although didn't Adobe buy Figma, or were they going to buy Figma and then they just IPO'd on their own? Was that the situation that was going to happen? I could have sworn there was some negotiation between them at some point. Steven, let's see. You wonder if the yen carry unwind is an underlying reason for all of this negativity. I couldn't tell you. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. This seems a little bit more widespread than just that. If I were to say what my gut tells me, could be a component, but I think there are a lot of factors going on. Like there, my dad called me yesterday. There's some, unease in Iran, and now we have aircraft carriers kind of sitting outside of Iran, so that might be some of it. Maybe investors are starting to kind of see that maybe the temperature is getting turned up, and it's like, well, maybe we need to kind of back away from a few things as far as investments go. We got the new Fed. Tom Lee was talking about that the market tends to, or has always tested a new Fed. Now, I think that's a little ways out, so maybe this is early. You could also make the argument that this is how the people get ready for tax season, is they have to start liquidating some funds in the beginning of the year in order to pay for taxes. So that could be part of it. Yeah, and then now we have another potential government shutdown thing again. So it just really does kind of feel like there are quite a few reasons out there that the market is just not thrilled. CENX, yeah, Dog, I know you were looking at shorting this at some point. It's a possibility. Obviously, it's up. It's up. And I know the Moxie indicator's down like this. But I think we need to be a little bit patient, because remember, there's still a pretty wide moat here on the daily chart. Remember, when you've got that wide moat, A lot of times they don't just go straight down. They have to narrow the distance before they can go down like that. And so just be prepared of that. And for the most part, this has been in a pretty good trend. So I'm not sure that this looks like it's going to just roll over anytime soon. Yeah. The most I could say is that maybe it's getting a little overbought and maybe it needs to kind of cool off. Maybe there could be, I don't know if it's going to be like a slight pullback, but I wouldn't necessarily look for this thing to crash. I know because of some of the metals and gold and silver and how they crashed, you'd be looking at it like this, but that doesn't seem to be happening here. So certainly be careful, be a little bit careful with that. Okay, let's see. Yeah, nice. Got a lot of people out there on YouTube. It looks like most of the YouTube, some Facebook people on the social medias. But I'm gonna get going. So let's see. Remember simplertrading.com/Moxie. And if you guys are having some troubles navigating this market, cash is a position. It really is. And we are mostly in cash. I got a couple positions that are doing well, kind of as we showed you. And then, other than that, let's see what we can do, kind of hunker down a little bit out there because the market's just challenging. Find the couple diamonds in the rough if you can. But otherwise, maybe do some day trading or just cash. You'll figure out when the market is in a better mood, in a better environment, and that's when we can be more aggressive out there. So let me wrap up things with the social media, and then I'll come back into the Moxie room and